the victory bell with Astrodome-style small ball. Pitching and defense that revive the ghosts of greatness past. Can they get it done old school again tonight?
Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight on Game 2 of the season, it's the Houston Astros versus the Cleveland Indians. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown along with Alan Ashby. Julia Morales joins us in just a few minutes to talk about Game 2. The Astros had a thrilling 2-0 win in Game 1, Ash.
Really good one. Dallas Keuchel spectacular in the ball game. Little bit of small ball, and it comes out with a W.
A 2-0 win, no home runs. After all this talk about the Astros hitters hitting homers, they found another way to win.
Well, and that's right, and it took Altuve. Jose Altuve gets it going. The Astros without a hit into the 6th inning until this little bleeder dunks in center field. And then what does Altuve do? He steals a bag, and that sets it up for George Springer. George gets another slider. He saw a number throughout the night. Takes advantage, lines one into left field. This was a tough play to score on. Altuve able to do it with that speed of his and a daring send. And then a couple of innings later, the Astros added that 1-0 lead as Jake Marisnick comes up with a sac fly to right field. That plates a run. It didn't take a whole lot of offense to get it done the way the pitching worked that night. Also, the defense was strong for Houston as they come up with a 2-0 victory. Dallas Keuchel, Gold Glove last year. He didn't use the glove, no, but those are Gold Gloves plays as he made 2 of those on the night. Valbuena almost with a gem, not in time, but that's the type of defense that was played on this great night of baseball.
Coming up, ready to spring. If the Astros young slugger wants to keep blasting his way into the winner's circle, he'll need to keep his cool and pick his spots against the cream of the MLB pitching crop. Ash will break down what Springer can expect in 2015 when we come back. Each club had just 3 hits. It was a struggle for the guys on both sides.
You had to get some small ball done on a night like that or get a big swing. And with our steal hit by pitch, or pitch by pitch rather, you get a glance at what did go on for the Astros. And George Springer really faced it here. You'll see some tough pitching from Cy Young Award winner Corey Kluber with a 2-0 count, fastball perfectly spotted, and then again inside corner, so he goes back and forth. This pitch certainly could have been called a strike, then he comes back to the slider. That's the type of night that most of the hitters faced, and George Springer got a big dose of it there. In the 6th inning with Altuve in scoring position, 2 outs, it was Springer getting that slider, was left up a bit here. He takes advantage, drills it into left field, and that made it 1-0. That's all the Astros would eventually need. It didn't hurt that they got another run, but George Springer showing that maybe he is maturing as a major league hitter.
Coming up, April fresh. Scott Feldman hopes his 2015 debut looks a lot like his 2014 debut. Julia takes a look back and a look ahead when we return.
In just a moment here. And these guys were so ready to get out of Florida and get to some meaningful games. We saw them win that first one. Well, tonight, Scott Feldman on the mound, a guy who was really ready to get out of Florida. He had his best start at the exhibition game here at Minute Maid Park out of an entire spring training that was very frustrating. Ended with an ERA around 6.87. But he said, I'm glad I got all of that out of the way when the games don't count. Well, they count now starting tonight. And we've seen him turn it on in the month of April, more specifically last April. Our featured pitching performance is powered by Kubota, and we're looking at this month a year ago. It started when he made his Astros debut on opening day. 6 2/3 scoreless there. You're watching him, did a great job all month long. The ERA 169 over 4 starts. He impressed a lot of people, a lot of Astros fans in that first month in the Astros uniform. It didn't stay that way for Feldman as he struggled throughout the summer months and found himself later in the summer. Worked with Brent Strawn, the pitching coach, a lot over the mid-summer months, May, June, July, but got a lot better towards the end. The curveball, something that he struggled with. His better pitch, but did not have a feel for it last week. You're looking at the numbers there. You see them ballooned up a little bit, 527 through those midsummer months, and then back down 276. All in all, it rounded out 374 on the season. But he'd like to be a little bit more consistent this year. And for more on Feldman, let's go to Ash. How you doing, Ash?
Doing great, Julia, and that's a great rundown on Scott Feldman. Not an overpowering pitcher. A lot of that turnaround for Scott Feldman last year, as you point out there, came in the second half. His second half numbers were very good, and in particular, in September, he was lights out. Just terrific stuff. He's getting a little older at this point, but if he can repeat opening day from last year, he will be outstanding here this evening. 8-12 on that season, and against these Indians lifetime 2-2, and he's pitched well. The numbers are just fine.
For the Cleveland Indians, here's the starting lineup. There was a change a couple of hours before game time. Michael Brantley scratched with a stiff lower back. So it's Michael Bourne in center field. Jose Ramirez at shortstop. Jason Kipnis at second base. Carlos Santana's the cleanup man playing first. In right field, it's Brandon Moss. Yan Gomes catches. David Murphy of Houston, the DH. Lonnie Chisenhall at third base. And Micah Viles is in left field, replacing Brantley. Feldman ready to go. His third baseman is in on the grass. Luis Valbuena, because of Bourne's bunting ability. And there's ball one to Michael. Michael looking for his first hit of the season. But he's worked hard to get back to good health over the winter. Brad Mills, the bench coach, former Astros skipper, came into Houston to visit him after his .257 season, which brought more hamstring problems. I mentioned on Monday that he's worked with the track coach at the University of Houston, Leroy Burrell. There's Millsy. Great to see Brad back. Pitch sinks and it's down and in, and Michael Bourne has worked the count to 3-1.
I think Scott Feldman just took a sailor back from Jason Castro. Sometimes that two-seam version of the toss will sail on you, and it looked like Feldman thought he might get hit in the head.
Bourne takes, hits a full count. Angel Hernandez is the home plate umpire tonight. Game 2 of the season.
One of the real challenges in today's game is when you fall behind, so many hitters, especially the speedy ones, will take and take and take, and you're forced to find a lot of the plate.
That's smacked on a line. Jake Marisnick cruises over. A well hit out, number 1.
Jake Marisnick making that play, and the defense for the Astros tonight from left to right in the outfield, Colby Rasmus, Jake Marisnick, and George Springer. That's a good outfield. On the infield, left to right, Luis Valbuena at third, Jed Lowry at new left side. On the right side, Jose Altuve and Chris Carter. And Jason Castro is behind the plate.
Now the switch hitting shortstop, Jose Ramirez, on a warm night in Houston. Nice to have the roof open, a good breeze blowing out to left field. And Feldman deals. It's ball 1 to Ramirez. Ramirez 0 for 3 on Monday, .262 last season. He really impressed the Indians, taking over at shortstop. He's also played some second base in his career. It's 1-1 to Jose Ramirez, as Drupal Cabrera was traded, and that left the opening for Ramirez to seize the shortstop job. He smacks this one foul. 1-2. Well, the Indians were 5-2 against the Astros last season. They have a very good record overall against the Houston club in American League play. Their pitching staff had a 1.23 ERA against Houston. Tap foul, 1-2. A very formidable opponent, not only for Houston, but for most major league clubs right now. And Cleveland was a wild card playoff team in 2013. Last year, just missing the wild card spot in the American League, one of the two.
Formidable to the extent that some of the experts believe the Indians could be in the World Series this year.
Sports Illustrated thinks so. Strike 3 call. Ramirez caught looking for the second out.
It's a guy you want to keep off base anyway. He last year stole 10 of 11 bases attempted, and that's a high strike, but you can see it does find the strike zone box. I'd love to see more umpires call that a strike.
Feldman has retired 2 in a row, now faces Jason Kipnis. Kipnis had a fine season in 2013, an off year last year, injury-riddled season with an oblique injury. Kipnis takes a look at that one, and it's 1-0. He was 0 for 4 Monday. A lot of 0-fers in this Indians lineup against Dallas Keuchel in the bullpen. 1 ball, 1 strike. The starting rotation for the Astros last year was not a weakness. And with the reinforced bullpen, this pitching staff could be much better. Fouled away, 1-2.
Scott Feldman has missed on his first pitch to each of the 3 hitters here in the first inning, and it has forced him to come back in and find more of the plate, and he's been up a bit.
The Astros pitching staff lowered its ERA by quite a bit from 2013 to last year. Feldman a big part of that as he joined the club as a free agent. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You and Julia talked about his season, which wound up with a 3.74 ERA. Something of a roller coaster ride for him as Brent Strom worked with him throughout the year. That's flicked foul. He worked 180 innings overall, walking 50 and striking out 107. After the All-Star break, his ERA 3.16, as Julia and Ash have already discussed how he turned things around. And with his veteran leadership, that really helped the pitching staff. The shift is on for Kipnis. Cracks one on the ground up the middle, diving Valbuena off his glove and on through into center field for a 2-out single for Kipnis.
That's just your, people will say, harmless ground ball. A lot of ground balls will find the holes. When you get that base hit, as the Indians do here, and the heart of the order is up, time to be careful.
Carlos Santana, who is 29 years old today, comes to the plate. He got a hit in the opener Monday. 231 last season, but the OPS 792 included 27 homers and a lot of walks. 113 to lead the league. Strike 1 for Feldman. Santana, the former catcher, has been a good power hitter. He hit 27 homers in 2011, 20 more in 13, and then 27 last year. So he's at 98 career home runs and 29 years old. The curveball can be a very big pitch for Scott Feldman.
Very successful with it in that second half we talked about last year. The month of September saw Feldman with an ERA under the 2 mark, so that tells you how good he was.
He and his mound opponent tonight, Carlos Carrasco, were both registering many outs in the final weeks of the season. In tight for a ball. 2-1. The finale of this series and the homestand comes tomorrow with a 1:10 start. It's the major league debut of rookie Asher Wojciechowski, and Trevor Bauer opposes him. Hope you can join us. Pre-game show time is 12:30 tomorrow. Foul back. There was an announcement that Alex Presley has accepted his assignment to AAA Fresno. As a veteran, he had the right to decide whether to take that assignment or not. So the Astros, Jeff Luhnow must be very happy about that, because it keeps depth in the system, Ash.
Yeah, he's making $1 million, and that's probably a figure that would be tough to match, and I think any agent would say, let's go ahead and go back down to AAA, have a good start to the year, and who knows.
It's in the air and headed for right center field. Marisnik there for the 3rd out. No runs, a hit, and a man left. Cleveland fails to score again. Today's game for A.J. Hinch, Jose Altuve at second, George Springer in right field, Luis Valbuena at third base, Evan Gattis in DH, Chris Carter at first base, Jason Castro the catcher, Jen Lowry at shortstop, Colby Rasmus in left field, Jake Marisnik in center field.
On the mound for the Indians, It's hard throwing Carlos Carrasco, the big right-hander. Can flat bring it. He'll light up the radar guns, and he's been really good on the hill. And because of that, the Indians have recently signed him and locked him in for a while. Last 10 starts last year, 5-3, and an ERA that was microscopic. And acquired in that Cliff Lee deal from the Phillies. So Carlos Carrasco now the two-man in this rotation for the vaunted Indians.
Jose Altuve went 1 for 4 in the opener. Quite a day for him with all the gifts he received for last season's outstanding work. There is ball one. Altuve was getting that painting all set to travel today before the game. 341, 56 steals. Major League batting champion. He received a specially made one-of-a-kind ring to commemorate that. This one goes out to center field. Michael Bourne. One out for Carrasco.
Defensively for the Tribe tonight in the outfield, Micah Vilas, a late replacement in left field. Michael Bourne's in center field and Brandon Moss in right on the infield left side. Lonnie Chisenhall and Jose Ramirez on the right. It's Jason Kipnis and Carlos Santana behind the plate. Fine catcher Yan Gomes.
Partly cloudy night. Very nice temperature in the stands here at Minute Maid Park for game 2 of the season with George Springer settling in. 231 last season. He got the big hit to make it 1-0 in the 7th inning on Monday. That single to left field. And there's strike 1 to Springer.
Is that high strike? We've seen a couple tonight. That's a pitch I wouldn't mind seeing George Springer unload on. And I don't know. I'm curious to see how he takes to this 2-spot in the batting order.
Looks at one off the plate, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Well, it's kind of Mike Troutish for him to be batting second, right?
Yeah, as long as you understand that you're still an RBI guy and not a guy trying to hit behind the runner.
In for a strike. 1-2 from the 28-year-old Carrasco, born in Venezuela. Signed as a free agent by the Phillies.
Tough combination of pitches. Already the high strike has been called, and that one maybe the changeup down under the knees or right there at the bottom of the knees.
Springer fouls it. Santana over for a look, but that's all.
That high fastball is a telling pitch for George Springer, a guy who last year swung through pitches that were right through the heart of the plate. To be honest, and George able to get a piece of this good gas, I think a good sign.
George had good strike zone judgment last year. He has added some muscle over the winter. That's in for a strikeout, out number 2.
I believe that's the straight change all the way at 89 miles an hour. And that tells you how hard he throws. That's the fastball for a lot of guys around Major League Baseball. There you see the grip, that split grip to be able to create the pitch. Good swing by George, appeared to be on it.
Two down for the 28-year-old Venezuelan Carrasco, who is in his career 1-0 against Houston with an ERA of 0.56. Luis Valbuena, another Venezuelan, fouls it back. There's strike 1.
Yeah, in fact, this is only the 3rd career start for Carrasco against Houston. And in the other 2, he was dominant. 5 hits allowed in 16 innings, 15 as a starter. So that very good arm has been utilized well.
He pitched a whale of a game here last year. That's a blazer inside. Dialing it up at 97. Takes it to a 1-1 count. He 2-hit the Astros here in September, winning it 2-0. Walking 1, striking out 12. Both hits were infield hits by Altuve. That's the kind of finish he had to his season.
And so if you're the Indians, what do? You have to feel like you got to lock this guy up. And that's the, I don't know if you want to call it dilemma that a lot of clubs face, but you get a guy who performs well for a somewhat brief period of time, and you've got to make some long-time judgments on these players.
That's fouled away. So the Indians did step up, as you say, and they have ponied up a lot of money to sign their top 2 starting pitchers this season to 4-year extensions. Corey Kluber got 4 for $38 million roughly, and Carlos Carrasco got 4 plus 2 option years.
2 very good arms and what looked like 2 very good pitchers at the top of this rotation.
He gets a strikeout. Another off-speed pitch, has a 1-2-3 first, and more of the same from Monday, carrying over. No score after 1. Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Indians nothing, Astros nothing after 1. Glad to have you with us tonight for Game 2. Bill Brown, Alan Ashby, Julia Morales. And heading toward the weekend when our special Root Sports correspondent Jeff Blum will be letting us know what's happening at the Masters. Ash,
is it going to be stroke by stroke, right down there, right to the wire?
Well, that'd be fun. Brandon Moss gets it going in the 2nd inning. Strike 1 to Moss.
What groups will Blummer be following?
We don't have any answers yet. He's our secret correspondent. He's embedded in the Masters crowd. That's a foul ball. Looked like it hit the knob of the bat, perhaps, Ash.
Yeah, and it was made easy for the home plate umpire there, as Brandon Moss didn't even try to indicate that possibly this could have hit him. You could hear the sound. It sounded like wood, but sometimes the bone area there can have that same sound, but no surprises here.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of times the player will shake his hand on something like that. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Moss, a very important man for this Cleveland club, joining the Tribe in a trade in December. Hit 25 homers for Oakland last year. 2-2 from Feldman, the former Texas Ranger.
Part of that Oakland A's lineup that produced so well beyond the first half of the year. Then they traded Cespedes, and things just went downhill for that offense.
That was crazy. Late on the fastball, and Moss is a strikeout victim. Number 2 of the night for Feldman.
Just throws a fastball right by him, up out over the plate, under that 90-mile-an-hour mark. So if you're able to be successful in that portion of the plate, go ahead and go for it.
Yan Gomes had a hit, 1 for 4 in his debut in 2015 on Monday. Gomes with 21 homers drove in 74 runs last year. Brazilian-born catcher. So that was his best major league season. And he is a strong receiver and hitter combination behind the plate. Indians thought so when they signed him to a 6-year contract extension prior to last year. Now 2-0.
I believe the first ever Brazilian position player to make it to the big leagues. There's the numbers that we were talking about on Scott Feldman in the first half versus second half last year. The vast difference in the ERAs. He was really good in the second half, and against September was brilliant. The cutter and fastball got more and more effective as the year went on.
Chet Lowry takes it over to Carter, 2 outs. Yeah, you saw that increase in the percentage of cutters thrown by Feldman. So he has different speeds, different movement on his pitches.
Throws that cutter very well outside that back door to the left-hand hitters.
Now it's David Murphy coming up. 33-year-old veteran, first-round pick of Boston in 2003. Born in Houston, he went to Klein High School and then Baylor University. He takes a look at strike 1. Had a brief chat with David before the game tonight. Very congenial young man. Doing the DHing tonight. Nick Swisher is on the disabled list to open the season. 1-1. David very happy about the addition of Brandon Moss to the outfield picture for the Tribe. Playing time might be a question now. It would seem to be a platoon situation for David Murphy, at least to open the season. 2-1. It's a smash past the diving shortstop Lowry into right center field, backhanded by Springer, and Murphy's aboard with a 2-out single.
That might have been that cutter you were talking about, Ronnie. Let's see. Castro set up a way that looked to me like the little tiny cutter that he tries to work to the outside edge. Give that appearance that it might be a way to start with, and then it darts back to the plate.
The Tribe has 2 2-out singles in this game. Now Lonnie Chisenhall bats. Chisenhall was 1 for 2 Monday after a .280 season last year.
Seems to be a correlation between base hits and smiles. I can't quite come up with it. Where's the cutter?
You see guys scowling at first base after a hit very often.
Angry that the scorer decided it was a hit. Not putting up with that anymore.
Chisenhall takes it toward the left field corner. It's slicing and going into the seats for an 0-2 count. Chisenhall really came out of the gate well last year. He was hitting .344 July 3rd. After that, he hit .223. Native of North Carolina, who was a first-round pick by the Tribe in '08. He's 27 years old.
That set of splits just seems like there had to be something bothering a guy to make that much of a difference.
That's a big difference. Foul tip strikeout. That's strikeout number 3 for Feldman. No runs, a hit, and a man left. The shutout string continues for Astros pitching in 2015. No score. Made Park. We mentioned the finale of the homestand tomorrow at 1:10. Asher Wojciechowski and Trevor Bauer. Then the Astros go to Texas. And the Rangers will be playing the Astros. There's a former Astro and Ranger, Nolan Ryan. Boy, we had a great conversation around the batting cage tonight. Boy, is he a wealth of information, Ash.
Who would know more about pitching?
Oh.
And of course, you've also got Roger Clemens around, and what a pair of guys to be able to pick something up from.
Yes. Strike one to Evan Gattis.
Of course, I'm not sure every arm can translate to what those two were able to do.
Yeah. Gattis, after a .263 season last year, was hitless opening day, 0 for 3. Good tight cutter or slider there for an 0-2 count now. Carrasco. Yeah, Nolan was talking about his vantage point watching Corey Kluber, who was so outstanding on Monday. He had that cutter and slider really hopping. And it was a difficult day. The Astros did well to manufacture those 2 runs.
Yeah, that's intriguing because you get a pitcher watching Corey Kluber, and I'm sure he's going to be very impressed. You get a hitter watching Corey Kluber, and he'll be impressed in another way.
That's rammed toward the left field corner, but foul.
That way that says, how are you going to go about trying to hit off of this guy? I'm not sure what you think. And of course, we saw Kluber utilize the slider and the curveball quite a bit, utilizing corners well, throws hard. And so I don't know that there's any one way to go to the plate, but it made me think as soon as you said that about Nolan analyzing Kluber.
Gattis lays off, and it's 2-2.
Is Nolan able to watch a guy like that, a guy that's made an exceptional, I don't know if you want to use the term turnaround, but he has now become one of the game's outstanding pitchers where he wasn't prior. And maybe you could turn that information to help some of your guys make that jump.
Struck him out.
Yellowwood is bringing the lumber with a look at Chris Carter's 2014 turnaround. That was a turnaround early on in the year. It was pretty bleak for Chris, but then in the second half, shortened the swing, got more quiet at the plate. Everybody noticed it, but the pitchers noticed that he was getting the barrel of the bat to the ball a lot more. He was even going opposite field with home runs. In fact, a grand slam there. A quick bat on the pitches in. He was able to handle pitches up. Chris Carter became a much better hitter in that second half.
Carter grounds one to third. Chisenhall to make it out number 2. Chris hit a ball well to right center field. It was caught on Monday. Seemed to be held up by the wind. 5 straight retired now by Carrasco. And his last 10 starts last season, he was lights out. His ERA was under 1.5 in his last 10 starts. He ditched the windup and went from the stretch. He opened the season in the rotation. Things did not go well. Then he went to the bullpen for a few months. And after he was given that chance to come out of the bullpen and start again, he really made that a good decision. Jason Castro, 222 last year, looks for his first hit of 2015, taking strike 1.
Yeah, the pacing of the game so far, we're only into game 2, but not only here but around Major League Baseball, feels like there's been a little uptick.
Yeah, the games were considerably shorter opening day.
Oh, they were. To the tune of 20 minutes a game.
That's shorter. 20 minutes.
2:48 was the average game time on Monday night. And I think that may have included the Cubs-Cardinals game on Sunday. And 3:08, 20 minutes more, was the average time of game for opening day last year.
It's 2-1. And there was a major league record for shutouts pitched on opening day in 2015. 6.
Did that surprise you at all? And I'll go ahead and respond myself. On opening day, you figure you're going to have the closest you can get to 30 aces going out to the mound. So maybe that's the one day where shutouts could hit a large number. 6 shutouts on opening day, the major league record, and 353 shutouts last year that were the most in 42 years. I think I see a trend here. It may be a lowering of offenses around Major League Baseball.
No doubt. Castro looks at it, 3-2.
You know, here's the intrigue, by the way, real quickly. On opening day, there were also 29 home runs. 27 guys hit home runs. A couple of guys had a pair of home runs on opening day. So there was still that aspect of the game.
Castro works to walk to become the first Houston base runner. So I asked Nolan Ryan, with this absence of offense in the game right now, what's it going to take to reverse this trend? And he said, well, it's different the way managers are using their starting pitchers now. They'll be satisfied sometimes with 5 innings from the starter because they can bring somebody in from the bullpen who will throw 95, and they can bring in multiple pitchers who can do that in relief.
And so that brings up the question for me, where hitters are trying to take a lot of pitches so that you can tire a pitcher early, get him out of the game, and get to the bullpen. But the numbers on bullpen pitchers are indicating that they are tougher than the starters around Major League Baseball. So is that a wise move?
Jed Lowry, 249 last season. Looks for his first hit of the year. Well, you know, Nolan nailed it, and that is exactly what applies to Carlos Carrasco. That's what they told him when they brought him out of the bullpen late last season. Just throw as hard as you can for as long as you can. If it's 4 innings, that's okay. Bouncer up the middle. Ramirez spins, throws in the dirt. There's the stretch, and safe at first. Santana was pulled off the base by the throw. That'll be a hit by Lowry.
That's not a bad way to get a knock. Yeah, had Santana been able to stay on the bag, easily an out would be recorded. It's a nice play at shortstop. He's got a guy that the Indians think can be a good one for a long time.
Excellent angle to show you that the foot did not stay on the base. And they bump together. Lowry picking up his first hit. 2 men on now for Colby Rasmus. Colby had a good game. He had a hit through the shift in right field, and he worked some long counts in that game. 225 last season. So on opening day, his first game with the Astros, he chipped in and did his part. We talked about the fact that he had only hit 8th some 15 times in his career prior to the opener here. But looking at it the other way, these 7, 8, 9 hitters, Lowry, Rasmus, Marisnik, the manager, A.J. Hinch, and GM, of course, Jeff Luhnow, feeling good about these three at the bottom of the order, that they can really generate something down low in the lineup. That's hit well. Michael Bourne backing into left center field for the third out. No runs, a hit, 2 men left, no score after a couple.
Game changer is Dallas Keuchel's spectacular debut on Monday. Dallas Keuchel was everything you could hope your opening day pitcher would be. Changed speeds all night long, changed directions. He was hitting corners down around the knees, bring it up when he wanted to. Dallas Keuchel was masterful, and the reigning Gold Glove winner for pitchers was brilliant with some plays on the hill. A couple little numbers he made about as well as anybody in the game can make.
Mike Aviles was inserted late into the starting lineup. There is strike one. Aviles getting the start in left field for the injured Michael Brantley. Not a serious injury, at least as far as we know. Lower back stiffness for Brantley. Aviles has become quite a handyman. He played several different positions in spring training. 1 ball, 1 strike to the 34-year-old veteran of the Indians. This spring he started at second base, shortstop, third base, left field, and center field. He started, and the call goes his way on the check swing appeal. That makes it 2-1. Terry Francona's team picked to win it all by Sports Illustrated this year. Ground ball by the glove of Feldman, but Altuve's there for out number 1. So, what do you think? Are the Indians the favored team to win even their own division, Ash?
Tough question, and I'm sure that's why you dropped it on me. I don't know that I would view them as the team to beat, although top of the rotation is really tough, and if you figure 40 to 60% of the time you're going to run some tough starting pitching out there, maybe you give yourself a chance to win a time or two more than anybody else in the league. But I'm not so sure with that all left-handed lineup or close to it that they're that good offensively.
Bud by Bourne, and Castro throws him out.
You know, if I had an all right-handed lineup, I wouldn't worry about it a bit. You can look at some numbers to back up what we're talking about here around Major League Baseball. Nice play by Jason Castro, able to bear a hand like Keuchel did on Monday night and still come up with the ability to throw well. Right-hand hitters to that discussion not affected as greatly against right-hand pitching as are left-hand hitters against the left-hand pitching.
Right. Jose Ramirez struck out looking. Ball 1. That was well done by Castro.
In fact, the numbers would indicate that right-hand pitching in some cases creates an advantage for right-hand hitters because you see them so much.
That one's foul ball. Hit pretty sharply. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, to your point a bit, I think that Jason Castro is the guy for me that may be primed for the big year to return once again to the form of 2 years ago with the bat and to continue to get better and better defensively.
That's that slow curve. 1-2. Feldman did not have good numbers for spring training, but no major concern. And at the end, he was throwing the way he liked. That start against Kansas City here last weekend was a very good one. And the slow curve was outstanding in that game.
Spring training numbers can be utilized to mean anything you want them to mean. If you have a great spring and then start poorly during the regular season, you can say, I knew it. It's just a mirage coming out of the spring. But if it goes the other way, a lot of people would say, well, we knew it. He wasn't able to get anybody out in the spring.
Yeah. 2-2. Nolan Ryan tonight said he was usually terrible in spring training.
I remember John McMullen, the then owner of the Astros, and had just signed Nolan to the first $1 million contract in baseball. And I believe it was Nolan's first outing of that particular spring. He got raked around. And poor John McMullen took that moment to feel like he had made a huge mistake. This is what we got for that deal. Relax. There's going to be more to come.
Well, Nolan explained that he usually started throwing in about January. So it took him all of spring training to get his fastball where he needed it to be, and that usually happened right at the end.
There's also something about the bell of opening day that will bring about 5-6 miles an hour to a guy like Nolan Ryan.
Out to right center, and it hangs up. Marisnick with the catch. Still no score after 2.5 at Minute Maid.
All-inclusive, all-you-can-eat seats at Minute Maid Park. It's available every game. This incredible deal will score you a mezzanine ticket and unlimited ballpark favorites starting at only $35. For more info, visit astros.com/value or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Sounds like a good deal, guys.
It does. Hey, Julia, you spend a lot of time in the Astros clubhouse. You were there this spring, interviewed most of the principals who are on this 25-man roster. You sense any kind of difference in the clubhouse mix from previous years? Yeah,
I did immediately, actually. I know the guys are really excited to meet each other. There's a lot of new faces in there, and just excited for the new guys coming in. The guys that were here last year were excited for the new guys, especially in the bullpen. They'd heard of these names. Nishek coming in, Gregerson. So it was really cool to see that right off the bat, these guys gelling and really excited to get going.
Jake Marisnick came up with a key sacrifice fly in the 2-0 win Monday. Evan Gattis, one of those newcomers, watching.
That's a really intriguing conversation to me. I hear Julia talk about that noticeable difference in the clubhouse. And it makes me wonder what exactly it felt like a year ago. Was there more anticipation of how are things going to work out? And now it feels like, hey, we can see the difference.
Well, it'll be answered on the field as the season unfolds, and these first couple of months are viewed by Jeff Luhnow as really important for this team. That's bounced to first. Santana with the play. As you know, the Astros have struggled out of the gate the last couple of years, and if they do well in April, and they have a lot of home games in May, that could go a long way toward improving things even further for A.J. Hinch's team.
I'm really impressed with that guy, A.J. Hinch, and I think we all are. But there's just a sense that he's the right guy for the job right now.
Altuve hit the fly ball to center field in the first inning. Brad Mills, of course, was the manager when Altuve was in Class A baseball with the Houston Astros. We had a little chat about how things looked back then. There's strike one. Brad said he was managing the Astros and they needed a player, an extra guy for a spring training game. And he was sent, Jose Altuve, from minor league camp. And he was given the description, well, you know, he's not one of our best players. He taps that one foul. No balls, 2 strikes. And he took a look at him. Didn't get him in a game, but he thought he looked pretty good with what he saw of him working out. And then about a week later, they sent him over again, and Mills asked for him. And he did well in the game, and then Mills started asking for him. And typically in a spring, there might be a guy from A-ball come to what, 4 or 5 games, maybe, something like that, when they need extra players. But by the end of that spring, he knew that Altuve was better than what he was hearing.
So my first thought was, did they have a uniform for him?
Not sure. Wanted to. And Brad Mills, of course, wound up thinking so much of Altuve that he named a prize bull for him. Altuve.
Huh.
And he and his son, they raised bulls, and they sold Altuve, and now they've reacquired him. Roll slowly, third base side.
Was that a Rule 5 deal?
Well, that's what somebody else asked. He said, well, he's a small bull, and we kind of have to watch it. You know, we can't go crazy with the way we use him in these competitions, but he really bucks very well.
You know, the part of the Altuve story that always intrigues me, I don't even know what the original story truly is, but I would have loved to have heard the conversation from a scout who watched Jose Altuve, and that conversation to whatever person of power that he had to speak to. Hey, I got this kid here that I really I think we should consider signing. And then you're asked, well, what are his dimensions? You know, what does he look like and what does he do? and you get to that height issue. It's hard to get a baseball person to get serious about somebody Jose's size, or at least it was. Maybe not so much anymore.
Do you think he's broken down barriers?
That's why I say maybe not so much anymore. I would hope so. I don't know. What is the size of a good baseball player?
No limitations.
You know, there may be more limitations on the big size than there are on the small size.
Good point.
Maybe not for pitchers. Randy Johnson would prove that, I would think.
What about hitters? Big Frank Howard.
There you go.
Was a good hitter.
So there's always exceptions you can point to. Frank Howard was what, about 6'7"?
Yeah.
Hondo.
He could hit the ball to the moon. Altuve skies one. And the third baseman Chisenhall now gives way to the shortstop Ramirez. 2 outs.
And now time for our steal pitch by pitch. And that pitch by pitch goes to George Springer on Monday night. He took a strike right at the top of that high strike zone, and then there was paint. Actually, this is tonight. Carrasco just dealt. Look where those pitches are in relation to the strike zone. One up that he fouls off, and we talked about that. Then the splitter to strike him out. That is one very tough series of pitches, and that splitter is quite a strikeout pitch for Carrasco.
So now they square off again. Carrasco deals, and it's ball 1.
As a hitter, you want to go to the plate. You're told all the time, find a good pitch to hit. And then you see that series that was dealt in the first inning, and there was no good pitch to hit. Unless you want to call one of the high fastballs top of the zone a good pitch.
Try to get on top of that. Oh, that's a tough one.
Wow. Now, I'm assuming this was on swing.
Well, did you see the exchange with Torrey Hunter and Joe West on swing?
You see the post-game exchange from Torrey Hunter.
Yes. He put it all out there, didn't he? Upstairs for a ball, 2-1.
Man, I don't think I've ever heard a player that directly talk about an umpire and his performance during a game.
That's a good point. That rarely happens. Well, Carrasco did something that caused a lot of attention. Last 10 starts from August 10th through the end of September, 5-3 with a 1.30 ERA last year. So he tries to keep that going here in 2015, armed with the new contract, and now the number 2 man in the rotation, a very important man after that 8-7 season last year with a 2.55 ERA last year.
See what George Springer just got on a 2-1 pitch, 2 outs in a scoreless game in the 3rd inning. He got a slider, and nothing wrong with it. It's just that that's tough to, you can't guess that way as a hitter. And George still had a very good swing.
Now lays off, and he wins that appeal. It's 3-2.
It's that good splitter. So it's just not getting easy, and when you see enough of this type of pitch in any spot in the sequence, it's tough then to look for fastball. So the fastball comes into play much more so.
He throws a high percentage of fastballs when behind in the count. Let's see if he fires one up there here.
And I would say to who?
Yeah.
Or to whom?
Good point.
Yeah, if it's George Springer, you want to keep him off balance the whole time.
Last year, when he was behind in the count, he threw his fastball 74% of the time. Gets him on a slider, and that is strikeout number 4. In a 1-2-3 third, no score.
Gets back to work. He told me earlier this spring, and he thinks it's his 10th big league spring training coming in. Seasoned veteran of the game, worked on a few things, including a changeup this spring. But off speed, it's always been a huge part of his game. It was inconsistent last season. We talked about the great April. You see the opponent's average against it. Off speed was good at that point, and he used it a lot. 71% he was throwing it at that point of the year, but had some troubles. You saw the numbers over the summer. He was moving away from the off speed at that point. He's looking at 65%. Just wasn't comfortable with the curveball. Made some adjustments mechanically though, and then you see the We talked about the ERA dropping at the end of the year, August, September. Getting back to that off-speed, feeling more comfortable. Looks like he's comfortable tonight, guys.
It really does, and he's up against it the way Dallas Keuchel was against Corey Kluber Monday. Now falling behind Kipnis 2-0. 2 balls, 1 strike to Kipnis.
That's quality on the 2-0. That little cut slider, inside edge. You could see how tied up Kipnis was. It's an intriguing also story that Julia's talking about pitchers coming out of spring training.
Out to right center field, Marisnik. 1 down.
Can't begin to tell you how many guys through the years that I've run into that went into spring training or got to toward the end of the spring and we're talking about how they've got to come up with a changeup this year, some version. And you get to their first outing of the year and it is gone. We're not even talking about it. It's a pitch that pitchers could use so much, but they just don't throw it enough to gain confidence with it.
Santana hit the fly ball to center field in the first inning. That moves him back. Feldman will pitch inside to set up the other pitches.
Ash, if I can add to what you were saying about the changeup that everyone seems to be working on all the time. Feldman actually said that. He said, I know everyone's talking about how they're always working on changeup. At this point in my career, I need to keep hitters off balance. I need to come up with something. So that was something he worked on this spring. And Brent Strom, the pitching coach, is not going to let him get away with it that easy as far as moving away from it if he's not comfortable with it. So I have a feeling Strom is going to be on him to try it every once in a while.
You know, I think that's one of the real strengths of Brent Strom is he doesn't cave to things that isms that people say. You can't pitch up in the strike zone, for example. Brent Strom believes in being able to do that and utilizing more of the strike zone than a lot of people would give into in his position. But I'll tell you this, if a guy's going to learn a changeup, he has to throw it. So when pitchers come out and play catch with each other every day, I think they need to grip that changeup and throw it at least half of the time they're out there playing catch. And at some point you gain confidence in that grip.
You saw that Feldman had one of the lowest fastball percentages. But the cutter you've been talking about is just about exactly the same pitch in terms of miles per hour. It just has that late movement.
It's really thrown the same. You're trying to throw a fastball speed. All you're doing in most cases is off-centering with your thumb, tucking it under the baseball, so it creates a little bit of that spiral rotation.
So would you say it's a fairly easy pitch to learn?
I think so. I think the biggest mistake on the cutter or the slider for most guys, and of course I wasn't a pitcher, but is that they'll turn the hand under the baseball, around it, rather than utilizing the thumb to get back underneath and then staying on top as if you were throwing a fastball, creating that spiral spin. A lot of pitching coaches and pitchers will talk about finishing the pitch, and that really is getting the hand out in front and finishing like you would on a fastball.
The Astros in the overshift here, playing Santana to pull. He looks at ball 3 and it's a full count. And the Astros, as you probably know, shifted more than any other team in the majors last year. All of the shifts, and every team uses them, have really cut into the major league batting average the last few years. Lowered it.
Of course, we've also been seeing a trend through the years that we talked about earlier in the ballgame about numbers going down and down and down offensively. It happened back in the mid to late 60s. 1968, I believe, was the last year of the high mound, and that changed things drastically.
This will be the 8th pitch to Santana. He drives it to right field. Springer back, leaping, and that is a 1-0 Cleveland lead. Well, the Indians, who had not scored for 12 1/3 innings, get a home run on his 29th birthday from Carlos Santana to make it 1-0.
Pretty nice porch in right field for hitters. Everybody talks about the Crawford boxes in left, but that hanger gets hit just enough to get out of here. And you can see that Santana didn't get all of that. Problem is, George Springer got none of it.
Brandon Moss is next. He rips one foul. Strike one to Moss. A whiff back in the second inning. Cleveland with its first lead of the young season. The home run from Santana. In for a strike, 0-2. The Cubs won. They shut out St. Louis today 2-0 at Wrigley Field. Jake Arrieta winning it over Lance Lynn. But apparently the fans were not shut out of the restrooms. A lot of porta potties have been added to Wrigley Field. So there was more relief provided than just what Koch, Ramirez, and Strop, along with Rondon, could come up with for the Cubs today. Ground ball rolling out to Lowry. 2 down.
Some of the notes around Major League Baseball. San Diego, well, they had quite an off season, including just a few days ago picking up Craig Kimbrell. They picked up Matt Kemp and Justin Upton. He's the better of the Upton brothers. Will Myers, I'm intrigued to see what he does in center field. James Shields goes over from Kansas City. Washington just gets stronger as they get Max Scherzer to add to an already terrific starting rotation. The White Sox, a lot of people feel, with the addition of Jeff Samardzija and others, has become or have become much better.
Yan Gomes, the one hopper to the left of Lowry, accounts for out number 3, and the Santana homer with one out in the 4th pulls Cleveland in front 1-0.
The Astros celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Astros in the Astrodome on April 17th through the 18th, presented by Coca-Cola. On Friday, April 17th, 10,000 fans will receive a Jimmy Wynn bobblehead. And then on Saturday, April 18th, we turn back the clock with era-specific uniforms, and 10,000 fans will also receive a 1965 replica Astrodome. For more info or to purchase tickets, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS today. Guys.
Julia, did you know you'll be interviewing Jimmy Wynn that night?
I heard. I'm very excited. One of my favorites.
You bet. You can add us to that list, too. Luis Valbuena with the Astros trailing 1-0. He's 0 for 1. And he gets a breaking pitch right in the middle of the plate for strike one. Valbuena struck out in the first inning. Jimmy Wynn voiced that nice package for opening day.
That was nice. Julia, you going to have a nice parting gift for the toy cannon?
I'm supposed to bring gifts, too?
Well, I thought that was what you were supposed to do.
Oh, my goodness. I better get on it. Go shopping.
Do you bake?
Oh, no.
No?
Don't get me bacon. Okay. Can I get him one of those replica Astrodomes that I'll get at the game?
He might have a few hundred of those already. And he has that seat, of course, that he hit in the upper deck with a home run.
Ooh.
Get him a toy-sized barbell set, as if he needs it.
Okay. I'll think about it.
Valbuena's down on strikes. Strikeout number 5.
Houston Methodist helps us get to know Evan Gattis, and we'll be doing that with a number of the guys this year. Evan Gattis is a very strong fellow. You might be able to determine that right off the bat, but his favorite meal comes from Whataburger. Hidden talent, belly roll. I'm not sure what that means. I'm going to have to see that. And a guilty pleasure song, Firework by Katy Perry. Yeah, I might have guessed he'd go another direction with that guilty pleasure.
Yeah, what would you have guessed?
I don't know. He looks like well, I almost said a hard rocker, but maybe something like Jason Aldean. Maybe that's the way I would guess.
Night Train?
Yeah, something like a nice job, Brown.
He looks like a lumberjack, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I could see him really getting into Florida Georgia Line and Jason Aldean, and
he's old school, isn't he? No batting gloves.
But instead, he drops a Katy Perry on us.
Yeah. Very interesting man. 2 balls and a strike. Got away from baseball for several years. Moved around the country from job to job. Encountered some tough times, got some help, came back and showed his power, flexed his muscles with the Atlanta Braves, and the Astros gave up quite a package to get him. He pops this one back. His body has to be feeling a whole lot better right now than it did the last couple of years when he was a catcher with Atlanta after spring training.
There's Mike Foltynewicz going to Atlanta in that deal. I heard a really intriguing story about Evan Gattis, about the extra work he was putting in left field this spring to get the job done, way over the top with work. And he was kind of told, hey, maybe you don't need to go at it that hard. And he basically said he doesn't ever want to have regret. And so he wants to work as hard as he can to never have regret about anything about this game, and I would assume about life.
Good philosophy. Carrasco ripped the fastball by him for strikeout number 6. This is a night train of himself tonight, the way he's got it going, and now he faces Chris Carter, who grounded out to third. Carrasco is going to be interesting to follow this year with the way he turned things around in his career last season at the end. High drive, Michael Bourne backing for out number 3. At 7 straight retired now. It's a 9-pitch inning in the 4th. Well, the man who leads 1-0, Carrasco. 26 years ago yesterday, Ken Force threw the 6th no-hitter in franchise history. A 6-0 win over the Braves. Ash had a 2-run triple and drove in 3 in that one. And on April 8th of 2002, Greg Biggio hit a 2-run double to complete the cycle and spoil the Rockies' home opener.
Yeah, nothing odd there about the Biggio double. I'd have to say in the other example you put up there, some planets must have been aligned very well
for you to get a triple.
Yeah. Yeah, but for Ken Force, he was really on that night. We saw Craig Reynolds making the play on to Enos Cabell. Some of the memories that go with those guys. And how about that guy,
Mr. Cycle? 1-0. The Indians lead it. They come out in the top of the 5th inning with David Murphy leading it off. He got their 2nd hit of the night. That was a single. There's strike 1 for Scott Feldman. Well, that was the earliest no-hitter in Astros history by Ken Force, earliest in a season.
I don't think the Atlanta Braves enjoyed their stop in Houston on that one.
Springer back in right field. 1 down.
They face J.R. Richard, Ken Force with the no-hitter, and Joe Niekro. Oh. And they left town rather bruised.
Bob Feller, as you know, the only man to pitch a no-hitter on opening day. He did that for the Cleveland Indians back in 1940. The Indians have won 2 World Series in their history, but it's been a while. So they've had that long drought. There is strike 1 to Lonnie Chisenhall. He struck out in the 2nd inning. Terry Francona might be the man to manage when they break that long drought of winning a World Series. He broke the drought in Boston. He and his players, that is. He was the manager there in 2004 when the Red Sox won a World Series for the first time in 86 years. And then they did it again in 2007.
But then he forgot how to manage.
Well, 14 years as a manager, 7 seasons. His team's won 90 or more. Fly ball outside the right field line. So he's had that continued excellence as a skipper. And the Tribe last year won 85. They lost 77. They finished in 3rd place, but only 5 games out of 1st in the closely compacted American League Central. We asked a few of the Indians about their division. They still have a lot of respect for Kansas City. Line foul. Even with James Shields moving along from Kansas City through free agency, they still regard the Royals as a young emerging team with players like Mike Moustakas and Eric Hosmer who could get better. Grounded foul to keep the count at 1-2.
As with life, nothing's a guarantee, and that's always one of the areas that I feel so cautious about. A guy will have a a good year in his career, and then the comments are, well, it's only going to get better from here, and look out at that point.
Right. Now 2-2. Dallas Keuchel said after he threw the first pitch on Monday, it was like a normal game to him. He did not have to battle any type of emotional issues on the mound as the game progressed. This will be the 75th pitch for Feldman. And it's a broken bat comebacker. An easy second out in the inning.
The Biggio Hall of Fame 7-game ticket package offers great matchups, including the Yankees, Tigers, and Dodgers. Be there for the anniversary of Biggio's 3,000th hit. Biggio Weekend and more. To purchase tickets, visit Astros.com/Biggio, HOF. Or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
7-time All-Star who's headed for Cooperstown. What a big year for him. And he's been here for both games of the season so far. Strike one to Mike Aviles, who grounded out. Craig in the clubhouse wishing everybody all the best before the game on Monday, and he was around for batting practice again today. Off the end of the bat, Altuve scampers for it, cannot hold it, and off his glove it trickles behind him into right field. Mike Aviles got just enough wood on it to reach base.
I thought Altuve might be able to make this play. I think he's thinking, I need to be able to hang on to this baseball. If he does, he's got himself an out, but very tough play. Start crossing into that outfield grass area, and I think there's a distraction, even if it doesn't physically change things.
Is that on the end of the bat or not?
I think you might say so.
Boy, he hit a portion of the ball with the end of his bat. Hit number 4 for the Indians. Now Michael Bourne. Looked like it bounced up a little bit on Altuve too at the very end.
And again, that's kind of part of that. You go from dirt and then a little lip as you go to grass. And I think even if the ball doesn't hit there, you start anticipating that it might.
Phillies lead Boston 4-0 in the 8th behind big Aaron Harang. There's a strike, 1-1. And there are those who think that Boston could be engaging in a big trade with the Phillies later this year for Cole Hamels.
Sounds like it might be sell-off time for the Phils, huh?
Well, you'd think, wouldn't you?
There are not many who feel they're going to have a big year.
No. 2-1 now to Bourne.
I think even the Philly fanatic may have found himself on that side of things.
Oh, boy. Michael, certainly a key man in what Cleveland wants to do offensively and defensively this year. Time is called. With Michael's hamstring problems, his stolen bases have plummeted. He led the American League, led the National League with 61 in 2011. Then started to have those hamstring issues. In 2013 he had 23 steals, only 10 last year. Fouls that back. 2-2. He was on the DL 3 different times last season. Wound up with 444 at bats. Certainly a premier center fielder. Now 32 years old. Foul back. Feldman throwing a slow one to him. You talk about a tough night. Did you hear what Brett Lowry did for Oakland? He went,
yeah, the 4 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Or was it 4 strikeouts all on 3 pitches?
Yes. Brett Lowry, 4 strikeouts on a total of 12 pitches. Bourne strikes out. And that is number 4 for Feldman. No runs, a hit, and a man left. Middle of the 5th, 1-0. Cleveland. .com. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. 1-0 Cleveland. The Astros bat with 1 hit through the first 4. Castro, Lowry, and Rasmus coming up in the 5th against Carlos Carrasco. Castro drew a 2-out walk in the second after Carrasco retired the first 5. And up the middle, deflected. Now it hits the second base bag, and that's a hit for Castro. First base hit of the season for Jason. Literally right up the middle.
Okay, so if you're looking for signs as a hitters, if things are going to work out this year, if Mojo's going to be on my side, that might be one of those signs. Shortstop was waiting right in line for this ball. Not with that kind of a kick. I didn't catch the little musical tune there first time around.
Right through the pitcher's legs and then off the second base bag as Ramirez was right behind it, ready to field. Now Lowry bats. He reached on a hit to the shortstop. Inside for ball 1. The Indians last won the World Series in 1948, beating the Boston Braves 4-2. With the likes of Johnny Sain and Bob Lemon. Also won in 1920. Mike Hargrove got them there in 95 and 97, and they lost both of those years to Atlanta in 95 and the Marlins in 97. 2-0 to Lowry.
Love to hear Mike Hargrove as a manager encourage his players to speed the game up a little bit.
He certainly didn't. His nickname was Human Rain Delay.
That's right.
That's hit hard and foul. Lowry belted that one. Watch out, Dallas Keuchel and friends.
You're talking about how Dallas Keuchel felt comfortable like it was an opening day after that first pitch the other night. I wonder, had he not been sharp, as you see how far you can actually hook a baseball, if he hadn't been sharp, might he have felt different? But coming out there on the field and being right on the money as he was early in the ball game, I think that changes things.
Yeah. Lowry looks at a strike. 2-2 now to Jed.
To me, that would be comparable to a hitter going up to the plate and everything he swung at, he just started hanging out line shots.
Atlanta is trying to win 3 straight from the Marlins to open the season. And with a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning, has a pretty good shot at doing exactly that. Lowry takes, and it's up for ball 3. Full count now.
And you're talking about a Marlins club that some people feel might have a shot to get to the World Series.
That's Shelby Miller pitching for the Braves. They had a very talented young starting rotation this year. Lowry rolls one slowly. Castro gets by and is out at second base. Took Kipnis a while to get that ball onto Ramirez for the force play. 1 out.
Takes some guts once you do bobble the ball a bit to continue with the play, but a nice evaluation job there by Kipnis. See, Castro's digging. And then the little delay, but still getting the lead out.
Colby Rasmus hit a fly ball to center in the second inning. Washington leads the Mets 2-1. They're in the 6th. Nationals starting the season without Anthony Rendon. That was a tough first game for Scherzer. With the error by Ian Desmond on a pop fly really costing. It's ball 1. So for these teams like the Nationals, who are picked by many to win the whole National League this year, the pressure is ratcheted up, especially after the acquisition of Scherzer. And the Dodgers bullpen is coming under scrutiny with several no-names in that pen right now.
The Dodgers have some real good frontline starting pitching. The top of the rotation, I think the same could be said for the Marlins. Very good arms. If they get Fernandez back completely healthy and ready to go this year, they're going to be a tough club.
Rasmus puts one in the air, foul. 2 balls, 1 strike with Marisnik on deck. We talked about it Monday, the fact that both of these starting rotations are considered to be decent, not great. And that probably is where the story will be told as to how good exactly their season is for both of them this year. In fact, they both had the same ERAs for starting pitchers last year, 3.82. But the difference was Terry Francona used his bullpen 573 times, tops in the majors, setting an American League record last year.
Some managers get the label of being really good with handling the bullpen. I'm guessing if you've got a bullpen that stays healthy despite what might be viewed as overuse, then you've done a good job. But it's really tough to see the bullpens that get used a lot in the first half be effective then in the second half.
Fouled away by Rasmus. So Mickey Callaway, the pitching coach, according to stories, when the move was made to bring Carrasco out of the bullpen, told him, as you mentioned earlier, hey, even if you go only 4 or 5 innings, just throw everything you have. And that worked exceptionally well. Now that we look at this season, if that's still the approach, how many innings can he give this club? Two balls, 2 strikes. What is his staying power? He worked 134 innings total last season in the big leagues.
Well, I think one of the questions that teams have to address is, are 5 innings enough from a starter? And I think the answer is no. I think 6 innings really come up a bit shy, although with the pitch count limitations in the game now, a lot of guys can't get past 6.
And can that Cleveland bullpen do it again if required to pitch? Lowry goes, swinging a foul ball. No, it's a strikeout. And Lowry is able to get to second base on out number 2.
Keep in mind, there's no need for a tag or a throw down to first base when a runner occupied first. Despite the fact he was on the move, that doesn't change things.
Yeah, he just whipped on it.
I was wondering if Rasmus with a backswing might have caused that ball to drop, but that was just plain boxing in a tired 12th round right there.
Yeah. Well, Lowry gets a steal, and now it's Marisnik. And he does have that man in scoring position with 2 outs. Marisnik grounded to first in the 3rd inning. This bouncer goes to Chisenhall, and that ends the 5th. No runs a hit and a man left after 5. 1-0 Cleveland. Just turning his head away and looking over at Jake Holtrop. And that's Amber in the background.
Chris, a young looking man, but you know, he's kind of grizzled up now with that manly beard he's got going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not sure he needs to. He's already 25 years of age. You might want to lighten up on the grizzled look.
King Felix, born in '86 with Carlos Santana, just 29 years old. Jose Ramirez with the Indians up 1-0. Comes up in the 6th inning. He's 0 for 2. And he shows bunt, takes ball 1. This is another anniversary. Today's the 40th anniversary of Frank Robinson becoming Major League Baseball's first African-American manager. And he was player manager for the Indians back in '75.
Which of us here in the booth was in the dugout with Frank that day?
I would nominate you.
What an impressive fella.
What do you remember from that first game? Didn't he hit a home run to win it?
Yes, he did. Well, I don't remember the win it aspect of things. I believe that could be the case. I want to say his first at bat he homered.
Yeah, you're right. Here it is. He led the Tribe to a 5-3 win over the Yankees at Cleveland. He connected for a solo homer off Doc Medich in his first plate appearance of the day. Yeah. Roll to first base for Carter, and Kipnis is out number 1.
You know, it's It's a little bit startling when you're on a ball club and your manager hits a home run in his first stride to the plate. But then again, that manager was Frank Robinson. Very impressive fella.
He is a member of that 1982 Hall of Fame class, and now a senior advisor to Commissioner Rob Manfred, an honorary president of the American League. That's strike one.
Yeah, I saw Frank. I'll leave names out of this story, but he walked into the clubhouse the first day he was there, and somebody had said something in the paper about Frank and about what should take place in the future. And Frank didn't bother. He dispensed with all hellos and greetings as he walked into the clubhouse, walked over to this individual, now to be fellow teammate, picked him up by the neck of the uniform, pushed him up against the wall, held him with his feet dangling, and told him the way things will go from now on out. Put him down and then walked around and said hello to everybody.
First things first. 2 balls and a strike. Ramirez made that first out. Now Kipnis batting with a 2-1.
So needless to say, there were a few gulps in the clubhouse.
Yeah, what a way to break in, so to speak, or break your teammates in, literally. Liner into left center. Rasmus over. That's a clean single with 1 out for Kipnis, his second hit of the night.
We've got our Whataburger, what a play, and that happens to be the only run of the ball game. That is Carlos Santana with a home run, just getting out to right field. George Springer with everything he had, couldn't quite get up that much. It was a rebound not to be had, and that's the difference in the ball game.
1-0 game, courtesy Santana. That was the 8th pitch of that at bat, and he had a 2-2 count when he hit a fly ball the first time up. So he's really worked both times to cause Feldman to throw a number of different pitches to him. And it's ball 1. Rick Porcello is making his Boston debut tonight. He gave up a 3-run homer to Jeff Francoeur of the Phillies. Phillies leading it 4-1 now, top of the 8th. Porcello just got a multi-year contract extension from the Red Sox. They'll hang in the shallow left. Valbuena. 2 outs. Now, one thing the Astros do in spring training is really work on all the possibilities for where balls in play might go when the shift is on. Sometimes the pitcher has to come over and cover third base if the third baseman goes out into the outfield to make a play like that. They want to make sure they leave no stone unturned, so to speak, in all their spring training work on plays that might involve every base being covered. Now Moss is 0 for 2. Strikeout and a ground out.
Former catchers are dominating around Major League Baseball and have for a long time in terms of being managers.
What's your theory there?
I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say that well, the catcher has the entire game in front of him that he's watching. I think if I had to take a guess, is a catcher works with pitchers on a very close basis, maybe as close as or closer than the pitching coach in some instances, and he's a hitter and a defensive player, so he does perform all aspects of the game, and I think therefore maybe an understanding with all the players.
Hot shot, Carter. Nicely done by Chris Carter at first for the 3rd out at the top of the 6th inning. Lefty Joe Thatcher warming up after 5.5. It's Cleveland 1, Houston 0. Santana off Scott Feldman. The Astros come up in the bottom of the 6th inning with the top of the order. 3rd time through the order for right-hander Carlos Carrasco, who's been awfully impressive, Ash, through 5.
That he has. Right on the heels of Corey Kluber's outstanding effort in a loss for the Indians, a win obviously for Houston. And the Astros are going to have to find some way to get something started against this tough righty.
Jose Altuve has hit the ball in the air both times. Just 2 infield hits allowed by Carrasco. The last time he pitched here, he pitched a 2-hit shutout with 2 infield hits allowed. That's ball one.
Look how close that pitch is as Carrasco misses down and away. And you know, if a portion of the ball, even a seam, touches some portion of the strike zone, it's a strike. That's really close, and in my estimation, you could even call that. A lot of people would chirp from the dugout if you did. And then look at this one. So he comes in with pitch number 2 after falling behind 1-0. If that's coming in, you're in jeopardy as a hitter.
1-1 with Springer on deck, then Valbuena to bat third. Up the middle, it rolls to short. Ramirez comes after it. Quick throw. Nice play by Ramirez. George Springer talked about the pace of play and the importance of taking time in the batter's box for our Geico quote of the day.
It's everything, you know, to kind of separate pitch to pitch and, you know, have a second to kind of establish a plan, you know, against a guy that's trying to strike you out or you know, to trying to get he to not have success is obviously hard, you know, to not be able to have that chance now. But this is also a hard game, and you have to be able to.
That's rocked to left center field by Springer. Michael Bourne picks it up on the warning track. It's a double for Springer. Jumped all over that first pitch after striking out twice. Well, he doesn't need time between pitches here, as he really put a solid swing on that.
Well, is that the answer? Jump on the first pitch. The numbers in Major League Baseball year after year would indicate that pitch number 1 is the one that hitters take the most advantage of, like a breaking ball off speed that hung a little bit through the heart of the plate. And Springer has had some good swings on the breaking balls in just game number 2 so far. I don't know. I think we get accustomed to what we do. And I would ask, did Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays and guys of previous generations need all that time to walk around? And obviously they didn't need to fix batting gloves. They didn't have any.
Valbuena bats. Bullpen is stirring for Cleveland. There's strike 1.
But what I see so far, Brownie, in my opinion, and I hope it continues, is that games are a little snappier right now.
And that's the effort being made to get that game time down much lower than it was last year. Nick Hagedorn, a lefty, is warming up. 2 right-handed batters due up next after Valbuena, Gaddis and Carter. And then Castro, a left-handed hitter, if the inning continues. It appears that Carrasco will stay in at least for a while. Tampa Bay leads Baltimore 1-0. They're in the 8th inning now. Jake Odorizzi went the first 6 2/3 shutout innings. Foul away. Very important at bat here after Valbuena failed to make contact in the 1st and 4th innings. Springer also had struck out his first 2 times. So the Astros trying to turn things around, and that slow roller Altuve hit involved a good play to get that first out of the inning. So tough to put hits together against a pitcher with Carrasco's stuff. Batting average against him last year was .209. In the dirt, there's a block by Gomes. 1-2.
So the numbers say that hitters are on a downward slide here in recent years. The numbers are just not there. Is it the hitters that are at fault, or is it the development of these big-time arms that are now coming one after another out of bullpens?
Well, that's a big part of it. The bullpens have become a major difficult factor, especially with each pitcher sometimes working 1 inning and no more than that, throwing mid-90s. And as Nolan Ryan pointed out, back in his day, a hitter was facing a starting pitcher for maybe the 3rd or 4th time, and now that is not so often the case.
You know, the way I recall it is the guys that were in the bullpen generally, other than a closer, maybe an occasional setup guy, were guys that weren't good enough to be in the starting rotation. And that's the way it was viewed. So it was hard to say, hey, let's bring this guy in now in the 7th inning to take over for Nolan Ryan.
Sure. That's hit toward the left field corner, but slicing out of play.
But when you have guys now, you can look at different bullpens around baseball, but some, you're bringing in 95 to 100 miles an hour with 3, 4, and 5 arms that you can turn to. I think it was one of the big keys for Kansas City last year.
No doubt. Game over after 6 if they had the lead. Especially after 7. Buena strikes out. Strikeout number 8.
Buena is an impressive looking hitter, but he has been impressed tonight by Carlos Carrasco. Off speed, whether he turns to sliders or his version of a changeup. We saw earlier in the game what looked like a splitter grip, although I've heard some with the Indians say he doesn't throw a splitter, so take it as you will, but he's got an impressive assortment.
Mickey Callaway, the pitching coach, gathers his infielders. 81 pitches so far thrown by Carrasco. It's Evan Gattis. He has struck out twice.
I would have liked to have heard that conversation. Did that have to do with pacing right now of the game, or game plan on Gattis versus facing Chris Carter? And you know, with the improvements Carter has made, I would have a hard time saying let's make sure and pitch tough to Gattis, and if you walk him, so be it. I think Carter is a formidable weapon.
Gattis fouls it back. He is one of those guys who really rips on the fastball.
This is a major league swing right here. Blacksmith is not getting cheated.
No. He goes hunting for it. He hit 400 on the first pitch last year with a 708 slugging percentage.
Well, again, you can look around Major League Baseball, and first pitch is the time where hitters take advantage. But 400, that's taking advantage to another level.
0-2. Carrasco's career high for strikeouts was the dozen he had here in that 2-hit shutout last September 17th. Chris Carter on deck. Indians are trying to square this series at 1 game each. Game 3 coming at 1:10 here tomorrow. Gattis down on strikes. That's 9 through 6 innings for Carrasco, and a 1-0 Cleveland lead.
Fan of the game, I have Landon with me, 8 years old. He's been to several Astros games, an old veteran right here. But what do you like about coming to Astros games?
Probably the food and being with my dad.
That's really sweet of you to say. What kind of food? Have you had any food?
I like the hot dogs, the Cracker Jacks, and the peanuts.
So, who's your favorite player?
Chris Carter.
Also a J.J. Watt fan. We love Landon. Thanks for being our progressive fan of the game, Brownie.
Thanks, Julia. 1-0 Cleveland. Now Scott Feldman with the bullpen busy for Houston. Lefty is Joe Thatcher warming up. And it's Yan Gomes to lead it off. Gomes taking. There's strike 1. Pat Neshek, the right-hander. Gomes has grounded twice to shortstop. Feldman now nearing 100 pitches.
Feldman got 2 outs in that opening day start last year against the Yankees in the 7th inning. So he went 6 2/3 and pitched 2 hit ball in that one. He's given up just 5 tonight, and 1 gets out to the first row in right field.
One and 2. Finds himself in a similar position to Cleveland's losing pitcher opening day, Corey Kluber.
Good over the top hammer and a great location.
And he gets it again for a strikeout. 1-0 Cleveland. The run came with 1 out of the 4th inning on an 8-pitch at bat for Carlos Santana. He hit a 3-2 pitch. And as Ash mentioned, it barely cleared that right field wall here at Minute Maid Park. Welcome on Root Sports. Bill Brown, Alan Ashby, Julia Morales with you tonight. Bill Dolman and Mike Stanton get ready for the postgame show after the game. David Murphy's 1 for 2 with ball 1. David feels really good about this Cleveland team here in 2015. Fouled away. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. And they will be playing in Cleveland on Friday afternoon in their home opener against Detroit. Zach McAllister goes against Alfredo Simon in that one. They'll have Trevor Bauer here tomorrow, and then their 5th starter is TJ House. 1-2.
I was curious on the first pitch here, the offering, the curveball. Is it low? This pitch is taken, and yes, it is below the strike zone. A lot of times there are pitches that give the appearance of being low that actually wind up a little higher in the strike zone, maybe catching the knees. Not that one.
Carter backhands, tossing to Feldman. 2 outs. Carter made quite a play in the last inning on Brandon Moss on that hot shot to end the inning.
Tremendous play. And I'm wondering if Carter were to play every day at first base, what it would eventually look like. I think he's got the tools to be able to play okay down there. I was watching him the other day in drills, throwing to third base and to second. He's got a good arm.
Now there will be a pitching change for A.J. Hinch. 103 pitches for Feldman. He comes out after 6 2/3, giving up just 5 hits and 1 run, trailing 1-0 with lefty Joe Thatcher coming in to face Lonnie Chisenhall right after this.
Pitch by pitch. Turn back to Scott Feldman working on Yan Gomes starting here in the 7th inning. Gomes eventually strikes out, and we'll see how Feldman accomplishes that. He starts him with the little slider or cutter for a strike and then misses badly on the breaking ball. At that point, the curveball over the top. Great location. Another one that he found the heart of the plate with. I don't think that's what he wanted, but he still gets the strikeout.
Veteran lefty Joe Thatcher's first pitch is strike 1 to Lonnie Chisenhall. Chisenhall's 0 for 2 in this game. Excellent night for Scott Feldman. Now Thatcher, who spent last season with the Angels in Arizona, making 53 appearances, comes in to get the lefty. He's done much better than last year's outing against lefties in his career. They're hitting .230 for his career against him. Last year, .289.
So is last year just an anomaly, or maybe a sign of what's happening at this stage of the career? The Astros hope it's the anomaly.
He gets a strikeout, and that ends the top of the 7th inning. 6th strikeout for Astros pitching. We go to the bottom of the 7th with the score 1-0 Indians.
Day with the Astros on Wednesday, April 15th. A special pregame ceremony will take place to honor Jackie Robinson's legacy and celebrate diversity in baseball. Purchase tickets by visiting Astros.com/Jackie Robinson or by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS.
It was quite a night for Scott Feldman. 6 2/3 innings of 5-hit 1-run baseball. He didn't walk anybody, and he struck out 5, throwing 103 pitches, 69 for strikes. The Astros trail 1-0. Chris Carter, who has hit the first pitch both times, comes up for the 3rd time now. Castro and Lowry to follow in the bottom of the 7th inning. 84 pitches for Carrasco. Another first pitch swing and a foul ball for strike 1. 9 strikeouts through 6 innings for Carrasco. The first team to complete a 3-game sweep in 2015 is the Atlanta Braves, that have swept the Miami Marlins. Brian Shaw's warming up along with the lefty. Hagedorn was up earlier.
And I thought the Atlanta Braves were one of those teams that had sold off all of their talent.
How about that surprising trade on the eve of opening day with Atlanta trading the closer Greg Kimbrell to San Diego along with Melvin Upton. Now the Padres have one of the best closers in the game, if not the best, and that should really fortify their efforts to try to get to the playoffs.
Bud Black, the skipper of the Padres, has to feel like Christmas is happening over and over for him.
He has quite a club. Carter swings and misses. That's strikeout number 10. Cleveland with 5 hits, Houston with 3. Now Terry Francona makes the walk to the mound. Castro, who's coming up, has walked and singled off Carrasco. Tito, who's made so many of these trips to the mound as skipper of Cleveland, will be taking out Carrasco with a 1-0 lead and 1 out of the 7th inning. He's had his lefty warming up. We'll be right back to see this matchup after this.
Carrasco goes 6 1/3 shutout innings with double digits and strikeouts, 10 of them on the night. He was absolutely brilliant, and our TXU Energy Power Player of the game would figure, at least right now, the Indians' right-hander Carlos Carrasco couldn't have been much better here this evening.
Well, he came into this game with a career ERA against Houston of 0.56, and he lowered it. Now he leaves with the score 1-0, and it's Castro versus Hagedon. Up and in, ball 1.
95 on. Can't even call that chin music. That's a perm creator right there.
Boy. Right at the H on the helmet. Last year 1-0 with a 2.70 ERA, holding lefties down to a 2.17 batting average. This spring he had an ERA of 0 for 8 1/3 innings, gave up 1 hit, struck out 7 in 8 1/3.
Good boy, JC.
Now it's 2-0 as Castro tries to get something going. Carrasco threw 88 pitches, 60 for strikes. Carrasco last year in that 2-0 win here gave up 2 hits, no runs in 9 innings, walked 1, struck out 12. So has staggering numbers for his last 2 starts in this ballpark.
It's a live heater. You don't find a whole lot of left-handers that can come in and bring that kind of gas.
Hagedon, 29 years old, from Sandpoint, Idaho.
Come on, Jason.
He comes more over the top of that release point than some lefties. Spins him around, and it's 3-1. The adrenaline is pumping tonight. Nick Hagedon.
Oftentimes with that over-the-top type delivery, a pitcher will be consistently up a bit, and that's what we've seen so far. Even the warm-up tosses were up.
Here's a new stat for you. His release point is 7.5 feet high.
Let's look into that one.
There you go.
And the pitch is high, and he's walking.
Really? Tell you what, we've got a stat for everything.
It's a new one, though. Now Lowry comes up, and the switch hitter is 1 for 2 in this game. And with that, now percentages have changed. Ricky Callaway comes out. Indians have had Brian Shaw warming up. Would they prefer right-handed Shaw against lefty-hitting Lowry? Or do they want Lowry to bat right-handed with the double play in order here?
Well, the power numbers from last year would say that Jed Lowry, a switch hitter, has a bit more power from the left side of the plate. The numbers are not compelling. He's had a lot more at-bats from the left side, 5 home runs. So with the lesser at-bats, he had 1 from the right side. But I think this ballpark could change those numbers around for Jed Lowry.
It's always a thought, and a very important point you're bringing up, Ash. And Lowry hit very well in this ballpark when he was here with the Astros in 2012. In fact, he hit 13 home runs left-handed with the Astros of his 16 that year. So the Indians will take their chances with him batting right-handed. Career .282, better average from this side of the plate.
one more factor. Colby Rasmus, the left-hand hitter, waits on deck. And so for the Indians, it would make sense to try to stay lefty here.
That's a very good point as well, because it's the 7th inning. They still need to get through the 8th and 9th. Now it's 2-0 to Jed Lowry. Time after time, this Indian bullpen came into play and did the job last year at a 3.12 ERA. Their pen led the majors in appearances with no days rest by pitchers. Lowry tops it foul. That's Gary Pettis at third. Now 2-1. So after that, and a lot of the same pitchers are returning who pitched for Francona last year. Can they hold up under another type pattern of heavy usage this year?
A lot of talk in baseball about the angle created by pitchers, and there's quite a severe angle created here as the 7.5-foot release point is coming into play.
Lowry fouls it back. 2-2. Well, you caught many a pitcher. So compare the over-the-top release point to more three-quarters that you normally would see from a pitcher.
I will grant that for me as a hitter, a guy that threw way over the top. There was a right-hander by the name of Scott Sanderson, you might recall,
yes,
that was tall already, and he threw over the top, and it created an angle that for me was tough. But there was another angle I found maybe even tougher, and that was the one created by Tom Seaver, who dropped down on the back leg, and the ball came out of the hip.
Flash to third, off the glove of Chisenhall. He can't locate it. Hard hit ball by Lowry. Now runners are at first and second.
There's a break rather than a ground ball turning into a possible double play. Tough play. But we talked about Chisenhall Monday night about he made 5 errors on his spring. I think he's had some issues defensively.
Yes.
But again, the tough play here gives the Astros a shot now.
He had 18 errors last year. It was a hard hit ball. But double play ends the inning. And now Hagedorn comes out. Runners at first and second, 1 out. With Rasmus due up next, and it will not be against the lefty. Shaw is headed this way. Cleveland 1, Houston 0. Back in a moment.
Bottom 7. Follow the Astros all season with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay, reviews, radio, broadcast, statcast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Brownie, before I toss it up to you, I was listening to AJ Hinch talk before the game. He said the lineup should look a little different tomorrow. He wanted to get a lot of his bench guys in a game before the next series. So we'll look for that tomorrow in the day game.
Well, and now it's not the right-hander Shaw, but the lefty Mark Zepchinski. And in 73 games last year, 0-3 with a 274. Lefties hit only 180 against him. He's facing Rasmus. This makes a lot more sense. Rasmus with a roller. His kick is tossing, and Ramirez completing the 4-6-3 double play. No runs, a hit, and a man left after 7. 1-0 Cleveland.
The Astros new look bullpen from Monday night. Tony Sipp came on, was effective. And of course, Tony Sipp had a terrific year with the ball club last year. Amazing hits to innings pitch numbers. Luke Gregerson also pitched effectively in the 9th inning as the Astros were able to win it 2-0. A beautifully pitched night, and that bullpen is going to be crucial over the course of the season if the Astros are to have a big year. And then tonight, Joe Thatcher, the only member of the bullpen used to this point. Joe Thatcher picked up a strikeout as he drops down with that slinging breaking ball.
Bobby Dynamite on the train. It's been quiet for him tonight. It's 1-0 Cleveland with Pat Neshek moving in. Oh, it's a perfect start for the Astros relievers so far with 7 straight retired. Thatcher getting Chisenhall, the only man to face him. And Mike Aviles takes ball 1 to him.
71 appearances last year for the submarining right-hander, 7-2. What an effective season. 187 ERA. It's quite a blessing when you can get a guy with those sorts of numbers.
Yeah, from a playoff team in St. Louis. 1 ball, 1 strike. His whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, was the second best in the National League, 0.77 walks and hits per innings last year. That is fabulous. Born in Madison, Wisconsin. High drive left field. That one headed for the seats. It's 2-0 Indians. Aviles, who was not in the original starting lineup, found his way in left field, batting 9th, and he provides the second long ball of the night for the Indians. 2-0.
The Indians have Aviles now, an infielder by trade, able to play the outfield as well, and they've been able to bring one more pitcher with their squad this year because of the ability of Aviles not only to play defensively anywhere they need him other than behind the plate, but boy, that bat effective in his first shot.
Aviles goes deep, and there's a liner from Michael Bourne into right field. Bourne is now 1 for 4. Indians jumping on Neshek and getting Ramirez to the plate next.
Location of pitch is always crucial, and for Neshek, it would appear that he's finding more of the plate than he would like. Good stuff oftentimes is only as good as location, and you can see that wouldn't be where pitchers want to live.
Jose Ramirez 0 for 3. Valbuena on the grass. He bunts. Castro takes a look at second, throws to first. Carter with the stretch. 1 out on a sacrifice, getting Bourne to second base. Jason Kipnis follows.
Terry Francona playing it close to the vest, trying to pick up any singleton he can get in this game.
That's what the Astros were able to do Monday, taking their lead from 1-0 to 2-0 on a Marisnik sacrifice fly. This is the first runner in scoring position the Indians have had tonight. Their 2 runs have come on solo homers by Santana in the 4th and Aviles a moment ago. And now Brent Strom makes his way out to the hill. Hagedon did not retire a batter, gave up 1 hit, no runs, had a walk, and no strikeouts. And the big double play ball coming from Zepchinski as Francona went with back-to-back southpaw relievers in the 7th inning. Last 7 games between the Astros and Indians have been decided by 2 runs or fewer.
I've been out to the mound many times when a coach might come out and have very little, if anything, to say. Brent Strom always gives the impression that he's got something concrete that he wants to provide for everybody.
Strike to Kipnis. 2 of the 7 Indians hits. Off-speed pitch popped up and caught by Valbuena. 2 outs. Lowry circled around him and went over to third base.
Looked like a changeup here from Neshek. See if he slows down. You can see the body actually slow down, and I'll say over and over that an effective changeup is one where you throw it as hard as you can, but you trust your grip. And so when you can see something that looks like there was an alteration in delivery speed, then it probably isn't the ideal changeup.
And yet at 69, that's far below bat speed. So just the lack of speed seems to be effective for him.
The bottom line is he got the out.
Yeah. Santana with a homer in 3 trips looks at ball 1.
But I would say that in teaching a changeup, it's crucial that you have arm and hand speed.
Detroit waxed Minnesota 11-0 in Detroit. Another shutout. This one for Anibal Sanchez. Detroit beat Minnesota 4-0 opening day with a shutout from David Price. So even without Max Scherzer, things may be fine for Brad Ausmus.
He's lost Joe Nathan as his closer now.
Who is the closer? Rondon was hurt, right? So
I think Nathan had been designated as the closer here in the last day or so. But I noticed this evening that he is, what did I see? Put on the DL. I saw something regarding Nathan.
May not need a closer.
Maybe not.
Games like that.
Jim Leland a few years ago found out that he did need a closer. Didn't work out as well as he would have liked. Boy, they put some good hitting teams out on the field for years now.
They're still quite capable, even though some of their players are aging. It's that off-speed pitch again. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And I would say that you could have called the off-speed pitch right there without even seeing the baseball, because you can see the change in the delivery.
That's at 70. The previous one at 69. And that pitch looks a little bit faster after 70. He goes up to 91. That's a 21-mile-per-hour differential between the change and the fastball.
You can also see the max effort in the arm speed and delivery there. And again, that's what you want to see on the change.
What do you think the normal differential is between fastball and change?
Yeah, I've seen it vary so much, and a lot of people feel like it should be about 10 miles an hour. I've seen extremely effective changeups that are only 3-4 miles an hour difference.
He gets a strikeout on the foul tip. In the 8th inning, Mike Aviles unloads a homer to make it 2-0 Cleveland.
The 2015 Houston Astros season tickets are on sale right now. Enjoy some of the best seats right here at Minute Maid Park. Save money and receive great benefits throughout the season. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS right now to reserve your seats.
Cleveland leads at 2-0 on a pair of solo homers by Santana in the 4th and Aviles in the 8th. Trying to turn the tables on Houston, which shut out Cleveland Monday 2-0. Going with Brian Shaw for the 8th inning. He led the majors in appearances with 80. And an outstanding year last year. Right-handed hitters hit just 168 against him. Jake Marisnick, a right-handed hitter, was due to lead off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. He has been taken down for pinch hitter Robbie Grossman, a switch hitter who will bat left against Shaw.
By the way, as Colby Rasmus came to the plate and grounded into the double play to end the 7th inning, the Astros had 4 men on the bench, all switch hitters. It's an intriguing bench right now with VR, Gonzalez, Conger, and Grossman.
Yes, it is. Foul back by Grossman. He really worked hard over the winter. He was one of the first Astros to come in for the winter workouts. He put on some muscle. And 233 last season, 6 homers, 37 runs batted in. As he made the club and got into the mix for these part-time roles. Looks at a strike there. Marisnick was 0 for 2, and Grossman has an 0-2 count.
Talked the last couple of years about success that Robbie's had on first pitches. He doesn't typically swing at first pitches, but did here in this at bat.
It's 1-2.
A couple of years ago, hit well over 400 on first pitches.
Zemchinski worked 2/3 of an inning, allowing no hits, no runs, had no walks, no strikeouts, but the big double play ball on Rasmus ended the inning. That's called strike 3. Grossman spins out of there on the Angel Hernandez call.
Breaking ball from Shaw, and it looked like a good one. Let's take a peek here. It's the upper portion of the strike zone, and again, so many hitters are accustomed to not seeing that call.
Jose Altuve is 0 for 3.
The Indians have out hit the Astros 7-4. No errors in the game tonight.
Get on the base, dude. Come on.
That Lowry hit back in the 7th inning off the glove of the third baseman Chisenhall. One of them fly ball over the shortstop out to the left fielder, and Aviles moves over. 2 outs. It's certainly the strength of this Indians team. Strong arm bullpen. Shaw is not a flamethrower, but very effective. He had 24 holds last year. Now he'll face George Springer, who doubled to left center in the 6th, the only Astros extra base hit of the night after striking out twice. Shaw, the first Indian to lead the league in appearances since 1955. Ray Narleski did it that year. They had the tandem of Narleski and Don Mossy back in those days. That was a new club record for single season appearances that Shaw set last year. And for a strike.
Yeah, that's a 1-0, and you depends what your mindset is here in the 8th inning. For George Springer, I think it's try to put a run on the board, but that might have been a pitch to be able to get a big swing on.
Springer lays off. 2-1 to George.
Get them to start working the outside corner on you, and you're far less likely to be able to yank one.
Shaw was drafted by Arizona in 08. Cleveland got him in a trade. Up high. 3-1 to Springer. Springer threw a lot of walks in spring training this year. With his legs, he can make things happen by reaching base. Stole a lot of bases in the minors. That's ball 4. So Springer's on for Luis Valbuena now.
Yeah, we're getting to know Luis Valbuena, and you can see some of the numbers over the last few years. Batting average has not been a strength of his game, though up to 249 last year, but he does get on base. Last year, a very good season in that regard. The home runs, 16 of them while driving in 51. Are those big enough numbers to be your everyday third baseman? That's what we're going to find out.
Third baseman Chisenhall positioned well off the line and back behind the grass a little bit. And the throw goes over on Springer.
Watching Valbuena take batting practice a couple of days ago here, he can sting the ball to left field. And I wonder if it might not be worthwhile for him to continue to work on that and see if he can take advantage of the short porch and left.
Ball, strike 1. Yan Gomes is down. Big strikeout night for the Tribe. Their pitching staff has whipped 11.
It's a reason they used to call it hardball. Yeah, it hit the shin guard, but try it. It looked like it might have hit on the inside edge of that guard and maybe got some of the soft pad and softer skin.
Gaddis is on deck. Cody Allen's warming up for the Indians. He's their closer. Line shot caught by Shaw. A blistering low drive for out number 3. No runs, no hits, and a man left. We move to the 9th, 2-0, Cleveland.
Matchup is presented by Chevron. Care for your car. It'll be Asher Wojciechowski who goes to the mound for the Astros, the rookie making his major league debut. He was impressive over the course of the spring. You see that ERA 129 on the spring. Numbers were not huge for him last year. So maybe that opportunity now to make it happen on the big league level.
Robbie Grossman stays in. He plays left field. Colby Rasmus has moved to center field. Jake Marisnick left for the pinch hitter Grossman. And it's Will Harris, who joined the Astros over the winter. He was born in Houston, went to LSU. He was obtained on waivers in November after pitching for Arizona last year. First pitch as an Astro is in there for strike one to Brandon Moss. Moss is 0 for 3. Bad Neshek in one inning allowed 2 hits, 1 run with no walks, 1 strikeout. Line shot is just foul. The Astros will have Gaddis, Carter, and Castro due up in the bottom of the 9th. Harris last year with those numbers with Arizona. Began his career with Colorado, a 9th round pick in 06. He played some infield as well as pitching at LSU. Swing and a miss there, and he picks up his first strikeout as an Astro.
Well, that breaking ball had the left-handed bat of Moss way out in front and waving on a pitch nowhere close. See the effect. You can start guessing fastball, that battle start, and you just can't hold it back, and that would appear to be what maybe was on the mind of Moss.
Will Harris moved from Houston when he was 3 or 4 years old. He went to high school in Slidell, Louisiana. Yan Gomes the batter. Gomes taking ball 1. He's 0 for 3. Harris has had some elbow problems in 08 and 09 and then surgery on that elbow in 2010. In the air, and George Springer tracks it over toward the right field line. Into foul territory for the catch. 2 outs.
That Tommy John surgery has become so prevalent that it almost feels odd when there's a guy who hasn't had that surgery take place in his career. As a pitcher, anyway.
Not much room there in foul ground.
George getting off to a nice start on this year. Nothing prodigious yet, but just looks real solid.
David Murphy's 1 for 3. Ball 1 to him. Cincinnati leads Pittsburgh 2-1 after 3, and Cincy, they must have had a rain delay.
Speaking of rain delays, you see the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium had a rain delay yesterday.
Yeah.
30 minutes, I think they were delayed. I don't know how long the rain lasted.
Dodgers Padres rivalry should be at a peak this year. Altuve to Carter. Harris has a 1-2-3-9. Needing only 8 pitches along the way to send it to the bottom half to score 2-0 Indians. West Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Jimmy Wynn's number 24 retired. It's 2-0. The Indians leading the Astros. Going with Cody Allen, the closer, pitcher number 4 for Terry Francona tonight. Mid-90s fastball belonging to Cody Allen, who was 24 for 28 in saves after taking over the closer's job in late May after John Axford moved out of the scene.
Well, there's always that temptation to send up a left-handed pinch hitter when you're facing a guy like this in the 9th inning, but the numbers would indicate you don't want the lefty at the plate.
Now the Astros have Gaddis, Carter, and Castro. But a big strikeout night for the Indians. Their pitchers have fanned 11 in this game. 10 by starter Carlos Carrasco in his 6 1/3. Gaddis has punched out all 3 times tonight.
strike one to him. Allen was a 23rd round draft choice in 2011 from Orlando, Florida. Slider comes into the top of the zone, and it's 0-2.
I haven't seen hitters really complain about the high strike tonight, but we've seen a number.
We really have. On that top line of the zone. That's a strikeout. One out. Gattis striking out for the 4th time.
It's a hard over the top breaking ball. Tough assortment. Still in an area that as a hitter you can handle, but that is a good breaking ball.
Now it's Chris Carter, 0 for 3 tonight. Astros have been held to 4 hits. Infield has shifted around, playing him to pull. Fouls it for strike one.
I think the strikeouts once again this year an area that people are looking at with the Astros to see how it impacts the club. 12 strikeouts tonight, and is this club getting better? I think Chris Carter has clearly gotten better in that regard.
Astro on deck. That's high-powered stuff at 95 for strike 2.
Especially when you have to be aware of that over-the-top hammer that starts on that same plane.
First baseman comes in for it, Santana. 2 outs. And it's Castro, who's been on all 3 times tonight on a very tough night for Astros hitters. He has walked twice and singled. Cody Allen last year 1-1 against Houston despite an ERA of 0. He gave up some unearned runs in a loss. There were 2 errors behind him, and he was tagged for a 3-run homer in that game by Jonathan Singleton. He had an ERA in 5 games against the Astros in 2013 of 0 as well. Strike to Castro with Jed Lowry waiting. Matt Shoemaker and the Angels lead Seattle in the early going 5-0 in the second. Albert Pujols with a homer. It's 0-2. Tomorrow, a 1:10 start. Hope you can join us for a day game before the Astros leave town and head for Arlington, Texas. Asher Wojciechowski and Trevor Bauer. Major League debut for Asher. And a strikeout here. Completed with the throw from the catcher to first. 2-3. A big strikeout night. That's 13 punch-outs for the Indian staff and a shutout matching the Astros 2-0 win. In only 2 hours and 40 minutes, these 2 teams now have traded 2-0 wins in the first 2 games of this series.